After England, there was only one place for Foster to go.
It's an age-old cliche, but they still all come here to Los Angeles to make their mark in show business. Though, except for this sidewalk in Hollywood, there are far more stories of heartbreak and failure than of success and stardom. But in 1972, David Foster came here with his own dream of one day becoming a star.
13 years later, Foster drives his Maserati through the streets of Los Angeles. If there's one thing he may be better at than making music, it's making phone calls.
Leslie, this is David Foster speaking. Hi, is Barbara there? She's at the studio.
At the moment, he's checking on a song he's recording with Barbra Streisand. But people like Streisand weren't accepting his calls when he first came here with a Vancouver band called Skylark.
We checked in, and we left for about an hour walk, but we didn't bring our stuff into the motel. We came back after an hour, and the Volkswagen van door was open, and there was nothing inside. And that is the honest-to-God truth. Welcome to L.A.
She's a free and gentle flower.
Skylark had one top 10 hit, a song called Wildflower, a brief shining moment before more struggle for Foster.
So I did anything I could to make money, and that meant some pretty scuzzo jobs.
For example?
Right, for example, like playing, what did I do? I did rehearsal piano for road companies of things like Godspell and Jesus Christ Superstar, and I played to like 300 or 400 singers a day. And once again, my training had come in handy. I knew how to read music, so I was a good catch, you know, for $5 an hour. And I just knew that I had to do anything to stay here, because I knew it was going to happen. I knew that I was going to be a studio musician. I knew that if I got my foot in the door, that I was good enough to play on people's records.
This morning, Dionne Warwick has dropped by Foster's Los Angeles home to work on a new song.
No, it's still, because I remember you know, hitting C's and all that, and this is only...
Yeah, David, that was
In the 1970s, an obscure backup man, he'd have done anything to play piano for Warwick. Eventually, talent and hustle led him from playing to arranging, then to producing. Today, Dionne Warwick asks to work with him. A workaholic by nature, Foster's a perfectionist by design, a lesson learned from longtime producer Quincy Jones.
I did an album about 4 years ago, excuse me, and it was okay, but it wasn't great. And I hadn't really spent a lot of time on the songs. The group had presented me with 10 songs, and I said, right, these are your 10 songs, this is what we'll do. And I played Quincy the album. He's a friend, and he's my mentor. And he said, God, it's just terrible. And I said, well, you know, it's only an album. I mean, we're already working on 3 other albums, you know. He said, well, wait a minute, let me see the back of that album. He says, it says right here, David Foster, produced by David Foster. Your name's on this. I said, yeah, but, you know. He said, hey, man, if your name is on it, it better be absolutely the best you can do.
That was the philosophy Foster put into practice when he took on the sagging fortunes of the legendary group Chicago. Their album sales had slipped to only 100,000 copies, and they went looking for Foster. With him as producer, the next record sold 500,000. The one after that, after 8 months of 16-hour days, sold 5 million copies and made Foster $1 million.
You know, the problem with successful people is that they tend to get yesed a lot. You know, what do you think of this? Oh, that's fantastic. What do you think? Oh, man, that's unbelievable. Now, meanwhile, they're cruising along 6 years and no hits, and everybody's telling them they're still great. It's not right. So it was my job, it is my job as a producer, always to say, no, you've hired me, now this is my opinion, this is not great. Let's go make it great. And that is certainly one of the first jobs, and maybe the most important job that a record producer has.
What was the cost to you, personally, of those 8 months of working on that Chicago album?
You know, it's hard enough to get along with one person in a marriage or whatever. And when you think about spending your time with 8 months solid with 8 people, it was very difficult. In fact, it eventually took its toll on me. I eventually, a year ago, became very burnt out and couldn't function at all, hardly.
Foster's family and friends bluntly told him he was killing himself. So with his wife Rebecca and their daughters, he fled the fast lane of Los Angeles for Vancouver. There Foster lived and worked for more than a year, recharging his batteries. But aside from the near-nervous breakdown and the $1 million, Foster's relationship with Chicago also gave him something else.
And the award for Producer of the Year goes to... It's a tie.
Whoa.
David Foster. And Lionel Richie and James Anthony.
The 1985 Grammy Awards, Los Angeles, and David Foster returns a winner. In fact, it was Foster's second Grammy of the night, both for his work with Chicago, and the fourth Grammy of his career. On this evening, David Foster had more Grammy nominations than rock superstars Bruce Springsteen, Tina Turner, or Prince.
Chicago, of course, it was a great comeback story, and I'm proud to be part of it. My managers, Ned Shankman and Ron de Blasio, with me all the way. And my family up in Victoria, British Columbia.
If Foster was in demand before the Grammys, afterwards the great and the near great were lined up to get some of his studio time. At Little Mountain Sound in Vancouver, Foster is recording the piano track for a song he's written for Julio Iglesias, the Spanish crooner. Peter Cetera, on the right, formerly of the group Chicago, helped write the song. Iglesias is an international superstar with 60 albums worldwide, but only one in English. He asked Foster to write and produce a song they all hope will be Iglesias' first big hit in the U.S.
It's got to be perfect.
That's what I hear there, see?
It won't sound like it, but there'll only be one musician on this record, David Foster. More and more, he's using a synthesizer, the computerized keyboard which can recreate the sound of virtually an entire symphony orchestra, a key element in the Foster sound.
Bing, 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 bing. Well, now, partner.
I think he's a great man, and he knows exactly what he wants. And it's easy to work with him because he knows very well everything. I love him. So.
You know, where other people would take, you know, a few days to get a track before you can hear it. This way, you can hear it quick, you can sing it over, make changes. So things work very fast with this.